Okay, I'm live. Just going to let a few people, as I usually do, give them time to trickle on into the stream. And while I'm doing it, like I say, I've got some things. Obviously, the point of the naming of my streams is because the material I'll reference within the streams. But then something else caught my attention, and I'm just like I say, I'll just wait for some of you folks to stream in. I'm just thinking I might want to cover something else. It just depends. And that's if anyone even gets the notification. So far, nobody. From what I'm seeing, nobody. That's weird. It's showing 0 people, but I've got a comment. Odd. Hey, Saniko, what's going on, man? How you doing? Or woman, man? Sorry. How are you doing? Like I say, just waiting to see if we get enough people interested in this stream. Because I was thinking about going on a different angle with this. But like I say, there's no point in me even really bringing that stuff up until I at least see if I'm going to garner somewhat of an audience today. I do appreciate the few of you have actually shown up already. So far, I don't exist on YouTube. I know, and who's to say how long I'm going to? Suppression is getting... Actually, what I'm surprised lately is the amount of suppression I've been getting from Facebook in comparison or in contrast to YouTube. YouTube so far, I have no strikes, nothing. I'm still completely in the good, right, with YouTube. But Facebook, and every sense, and I can go right back through my Facebook page, my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page. I can go back and see even that page I started back in, what was it, 2010, 2011 or something like that. Yeah, about that. It's a long time. Not one time did I ever have this, like, where I was put into this Facebook jail, as people call it, a 90-day suspension or whatever, or suppression of the page, whatever, for fake news or false information or the bullshit, right? But ever since the trucker convoy started, and of course, in my profile pictures and the hashtags, I mean, I was very vocal in my support for the truckers convoy. And it was at that time, not the 10 years prior to that or even more, but it was exactly and precisely at that time that I started getting these 90-day suspension on Facebook. And I mean, just nonstop. I mean, and when you look at them, well, some of them I can't even, when I go to click on it to see, okay, which one, what thing did I supposedly share that was wrong or wrong thing, right? Some of them will actually let you click on it, has a little arrow beside it. When you click it, it shows you what your post was. I've had multiple ones that actually won't even give me that option to show me, well, what have I posted? And even the ones that they did, like I say, it's completely, well, like I say, as you know, it's not false information or misinformation. I hold myself to a much higher standard than these dipshits at Facebook. But what it is I'm saying things that they don't want other people to hear. That's really what it is, what you're talking about, that when they say fake news, false information, misinformation, I don't want you to be able to get what you have to say out there for people to hear. They're scared to death that people would actually hear what I've got to say, which tells me that that's apparently what I've got to say is quite powerful, right? Which it is, because it's called the truth, and truth can be very, very powerful. But yeah, I find it strange that actually, like I say, YouTube, well, what it is when I do my live streams, I do not monetize the live streams. Because when I'm doing my live streams, it's not unlike my videos where I can edit it out, right? And stuff like that. Live streams, it's on the fly and it's live. And I say some things that they might not agree with. So that's why I don't typically monetize my live streams, because yeah, I probably would get in trouble there, right? But I'm basically off the radar, I suppose, if you're not monetized, because the advertisers don't have something to really complain about. YouTube is just, it's just another person, putting out stuff that we don't like. Or yeah, Facebook, heavy duty and hardcore on the suppression. And the crazy part is I think the reason why that is my Facebook page was the only social media in terms of the big platforms, the dominant players in the social media space. My Facebook page, my Canadian Libertarian Facebook, it was the only one left that actually had like a decent amount of traction and people coming to watch my content or see my content. Whereas, my YouTube channel, I've got 7,500 subscribers, but on a typical, live stream or video, I get, and maybe a few hundred, 4 or 5, maybe 600, not that much, to be honest with you. But on my Facebook page, when you talk about my reach and engagements, because I see the analytics on my Facebook page, it was into the 40, 50,000 people and shit I'm reaching. So much, much more of an audience that I'm garnering there. So I guess that's the thing. They want to shut me down, shut my voice down there because, people are actually listening over here. Whereas YouTube, I suppose YouTube's thinking is nobody's paying attention to this guy. And the only ones who actually watch his content are the people who are, other people that think like him anyway. So it's not like we're actually, wouldn't be really affecting us if we did anything. So what it is I think what it really comes down to at the end of the day is I'll know if I'm starting to get a bigger audience. I'll know that my ending, that time on YouTube, I'll know at that point, at that junction, I'll know my days on YouTube are numbered. But as long as I'm only getting a few hundred views, YouTube's more or less, just let them play, I suppose. Right? But I'll take whatever I can get because I realize that the kind of information I typically offer is, not just beneficial to people, but vastly fucking superior. I hate to say it. I hate to take my own horn. Sorry to be the tall poppy here in Canada, right? Don't beat me down for it. But yeah, much, much superior to most of what I see people offering. Everyone likes to play politics, whereas myself, I just, as you know, in your face, just truth. Like it or not, you're getting it, right? Anyways, yeah. Sorry to hear about that, Sanico, or whatever. That's a bad deal, getting kicked off. But anyways, good afternoon. Ooh, from Pennsylvania. Nice. I love Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining the stream, actually, Terry Hilly. I appreciate that. Actually, when I used to drive long haul, and the first company that I drove for, Sunbury Transport, we did a lot of deliveries down in Pennsylvania. It was especially, Marietta, there's that Armstrong factory. I think it was, there was like I say, tremendous amount of places. Wilkes-Barre up there around Scranton. Oh, I love the Petro. Oh, the Petros. Do they still have the Petros? I wonder down there. The truck stops, the iron skillet. Good stuff. But yeah, Pennsylvania, beautiful state. I like Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a beautiful place. But yeah, thanks for joining the stream. Hello, Bernard May. Oh, let me get this out actually before I continue on with the saying hi to everyone here or should I say saying hi to all four of you is like I say, I can stretch it out and be more intense in how I cover, like I say, the COVID conflict and the corporate cancel culture, which are very important things to deal with. But then, like I say, there was this other thing. Actually, let me bring this up, and I'm going to ask you folks here. Share. Where is that at? Yeah, okay. So just make sure you folks can see that. There we go. It's there. So anyways, this was the event that took place. What was it, on Tuesday? I believe it was. Journalism under siege. Like the words, the hyperbole, whatever, right? Potato. But like the rhetoric they use, like journalism under siege. All these poor journalists. So I feel so bad for them, right? In this event moderated by Carleton journalism professor Adrian Harewood, some of Canada's leading journalists talk about the challenges journalism confronted during the so-called, during the so-called Freedom Convoy's occupation of downtown Ottawa. Like, holy, I mean, think about, like, already right there, like, how political is that? But they're like, we just think of it. So this is the heading. Like, these are people who are like, apparently the public are turning their backs on us. They don't trust us anymore. They get irate. They won't listen to anything we say. They call us fake news. And then this is, and they're putting on this big event to recognize that, right? To talk about the fact that people no longer trust them anymore, right? And this is how they set it up. Like, wasn't there a proofreader saying, well, that's probably words or rhetoric that I wouldn't use if you're trying to find this thing where you're trying to find common space or reach across the divide somehow, or figure how can we bring us all back under some form of unity in Canada, right? Well, if that was your intention, if that's your true intention, your true goal, using this kind of bullshit, hyper sensationalized rhetoric like journalism under siege and the so-called freedom convoy and their occupation of downtown, like as if they're like an army, like some military force, right? Yeah, they were occupying them. The poor Ottawa citizens were occupied by bouncy castles, right? Singing and dancing, hot coffee, saunas, hot tubs, all the humanity, right? Oh, such occupation. But anyways, like just insane. But I was. Here's what I'm thinking: is I can kind of quickly run through the stuff that I was originally going to cover in the video, and then kind of move on to this. And after it's done, I'll separate them up because I think this is a really important thing, right? Or I just stick with the original stuff. But I think this. Now, it is 2 hours and 17 minutes long, but I was saying, let's just listen to it. Maybe not entirely, right? But let's just listen to portions of it, hear what they've got to say, respond in. And of course, I'll go to the comment section so we can all get our chance to respond to this stuff. Because this is, to me, this is the thing. When I think, if I put on my thinking cap and I'm like, okay, yes, politicians are definitely at fault for a lot of things. Even the people who are supporting these politicians, they're not blameless, right? There's a lot of blame to go around in this country and many countries in the Western world of why things are failing so severely, so devastatingly in so many ways, socially and economically, right? But, geez, I kind of went off on a tangent there and I wasn't, but basically, how could we cover this in a manner? Totally lost my train of thought. But anyways, like I said, I want to get this covered and then split it up so that, there's now I brought it. No, it's coming back to me now. So yeah, so basically what it is, if I think, because I don't like to collectivize guilt, unlike my opponents or people who are collectivists, I don't like to collectivize guilt entirely. But I would say if there's a segment of society or people in specific occupations or field who would be at least what I consider to be the largest contributors, the ones that have the most influence, right, in affecting how people perceive things, right, are the very people, these so-called journalists, right? They want to say so-called freedom. I'll say so-called journalists, right? Anyways, tit for tat. But yeah, it's the media. Because if you think about it, Canadians, that's how Canadians are typically informed regarding these social political issues, right? I mean, sure, talking amongst each other, but most of the things, most of the information Canadians, when you hear Canadians talking about, no matter what the issue is, even the Ukraine-Russian, you hear them talking about, and the points that they're talking or they're referencing or regurgitating or repeating are political talking points or the talking points handed down to them by their thought leaders in the established media. So once again, the largest cohort that plays the largest role and has the most profound effect on the Canadian psychology, on the Canadian or the mindset of Canadians are definitely those in the established media. So really, really, really important to not just pay attention to what these people are saying, but to try to get to the nuance of where they're going today. Because even them, by holding this event, right, even though they're not doing it in the manner that they should do, if their goal, if their intention is, like I said, to try to bring some kind of unity where people will start to trust them again, not working. But at the very least, the fact that they're holding this event tells you that they are at least acknowledging and recognizing that, yeah, how crazy is it that a guy like myself, who doesn't even seem to have like a whole lot of people who are watching my stuff anymore, but because when they're talking about people, they're referencing people just like me or people like you. That's what they're talking about, right? These people who want to challenge the status quo or the establishment. Really, that's what it comes down to. And yeah, but it's amazing to me. It is absolutely, and it should be amazing to every human being on this planet, that huge, giant conglomerates and organizations and corporations such as the CBC that's, subsidized by the government, stealing from us, the taxpayer, the tax serfs, right, the wage slaves, and prop up this CBC, this organization, that's got its tentacles across the entire country in every nook and cranny, right? Over $1 billion per year. And then think about all the other CTV, Globe and Mail, CTV. Think about it, all of them. And then not just what they get in terms of revenue from advertising and all that stuff, but then the $600 million that the Trudeau Liberals handle. Think about all that. So they've got the power of the state. They've got the power of like having the bully pulpit, right? Have the like access to the largest platforms. And then you got the social media executives and the giants, right? So your Facebooks, your Twitters, right? So the establishment media, the old dinosaur establishment, right? These folks, and then the new ones, so the Facebooks and the Twitters, they have all that power, right? Look at them, behemoths. And people like me or you, we're just nobody. I'm literally a nobody in the grand scheme of things. But yet they're really, really worried. It keeps them up at night that there are people like us that still have the ability to get our voices out there. Once again, think about, like, to me, it's a bit of an ego boost for me. It sounds like an insult, but it's a huge ego boost for me because it's suggesting that, or people like myself, right? It's suggesting that even though some days I feel like, why do I even bother? I obviously have no effect on things, but then I see this. It's like, well, maybe I do. Because yes, people can talk about your Pierre Poilievres or your lots of other newcomers that are coming out, right? Right. And some of these great alternative media outlets like the True North News and Post Millennial. And I'm really appreciative of having all these outlets. Great. And maybe I'll look into reaching out to some of those folks at some point in time. But before they were ever here, and you folks know it, and those of you folks that it was me, people like me, and not just, like I say, and it's all there. Before there was all these new up and comers, right? It was people like me out there putting this information, at least putting in the grunt work early on to lay the foundation, right? Sure, there's lots of people who are standing on that now and benefiting tremendously. Actually, they're benefiting a whole lot more than I am. But hey, I helped build that platform, that foundation that a lot of these people now are using to enrich themselves and to hopefully help educate and inform Canadians. And once again, to me, it's not necessarily about the money, but it does tell me that we do have powerful voices, and we got to keep that in mind because I know myself, I go through days of optimism and pessimism because it's hard to remain constantly optimistic when there's just so much crazy stuff taking place today. But anyway, so like I said, we got this. Look at this. So you got Jorge Barrera, CBC Indigenous. You got Justin Ling. He's a freelancer. Glenn McGregor from CTV. Reza Patel from The Star. Rupa Subramania from the National Post. Justin Tang. He's a photographer. Judy Trim or Trin from CBC. And then, of course, Adrian Harewood is the moderator. So these are the panelists, I suppose. But what do you think? I'm just, like I say, I'm just curious what you folks would prefer that we do today, because it does matter to me what you folks think. It matters a whole lot to me. Thanks. Yeah, I set the reminder when you released it. Cool. Right on. Good afternoon. Been a long time. Hey, Tommy Gunn. Yes, it has, Tommy Gunn. Nice to see you in the chat, my friend. Right on. The truth is dangerous to those that believe. Is it ever? Down in the old Pittsburgh. Love Pittsburgh. That's on the west coast of PA. Way on the west coast of PA. And of course, Steel City, been down there. And me, as a Canadian, and New Brunswick, and East Coast New Brunswick of all places, right? But you know what? My favorite football team of all time in the NHL is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Love the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, Jerome Bennett's no longer there, but the boss, gotta love the boss. That guy, right? You'd have like 2 or 3 dudes hanging off him to still gain another 10 yards or so, right? Wicked. But yeah, Steel City, actually, it kind of reminds me, but a much bigger example of that. But when I was living in Ontario, in Toronto in specific, the east end of it, on the west end of it, we got a place called Hamilton. And it's basically Canada's version, Ontario's version of Steel City, much smaller than, well, to a degree anyways, than Pittsburgh. But yeah, Pittsburgh's awesome. Some very hardy folks, hard-working folks, obviously, in Pittsburgh too. Solid earth, blue-collar folks. Love them. But yeah, thanks there, Terry. Oh yeah, our convoy is going well. It's in Hagerson, Maryland. I see from YouTubers from Canada down. Yes, I seen that too, and they're parked outside. And actually, they're doing the loop, the Beltway loop. I've been around that loop to avoid DC, actually, right? Myself, but yeah, I see the down there, and I'm really happy to see that the Americans. Matter of fact, It was a little bit shocking for me that Canadians actually led something for once, right? The trucker convoy, which is why I was so struck with it and got right into it so heavily earlier on because I thought this is an amazing thing to see Canada for once be the ones that are leading, the aspect of fighting for the freedoms and liberty. It was quite a stark thing to see, something I've never seen or witnessed in my entire 51 years of my life being alive. Not that I was watching it for when I was 2 years old, but it was an amazing thing. And yeah, actually, I'm used to always Canadians following the American lead. But it's nice to see that, like I say, it doesn't matter who's out in front or leading. It's nice to see that my fellow Americans or counterparts down there doing the same thing and standing up in defense of their freedoms. Good, real happy about that. Canadian Patriot One, how you doing, Canadian Patriot? I'm glad you were speaking your mind and the truth. Oh, I got to stop that. I lean over there and I get away from my microphone. Sorry about that, folks. I'm glad you were speaking your mind and the truth. Well, with no fear of backlash from the censors. I and many of my friends are the same way, and the censors can kiss our asses. Screw them right on. Yeah, exactly. You have to be that way to me. And I mean, I shouldn't say that. The reason why I am is because I'm very, if I didn't know myself as well as I do and didn't know how the kind of work and effort I put into to make sure I don't misinform people, that I am, being honest, forthright, keeping principles and morality, front and center in any decision or opinion or perspective I take on things. That's what gives me my confidence, right? I see a lot of people with confidence to say a lot of things, doesn't necessarily mean they should, but if you're armed with a lot of knowledge and you're taking the proper, and there's a way to test these things. That's the thing. I don't understand why some of these people that are out there, it's a real simple thing. If you're supporting, that's the thing. Okay, so are you for war or not? Right? Do you like sending, strangers to kill other strangers that you have no idea who the hell they are? Because, most of us have no idea. When you go into a war or a conflict, right? Like, let's say, no matter what, you're basically told you got to go kill these people. You don't know if those people are bad, good, or somewhere in between. Hell, you're doing the same thing. Does that make you bad? This is the thing. Military men from all kinds of jurisdictions. This is the part. So to me, my principle is I am against war, and not just war, but I'm against preemptive use of force or violence, right? And also collective punishment, right? Those are principles as a libertarian that I hold very near. So to me, it doesn't matter if you're talking about Ukraine. My stance on Ukraine and Russia is no different than my stance on the interventionism of the U.S. into Iraq, or the interventionism of U.S. into Afghanistan or Libya, right? Many of these other jurisdictions around the world. I've watched this play out, right? I mean, yes, a bunch of guys, think about even 9/11. Let's just talk about 9/11 real quickly. A bunch of guys, what was it, 90 of them hijacked some planes, right? The official story, hijacked some planes, flew them into, the Pentagon and the World Trade Centers, and basically we know the rest from there. But it was 19 guys. Now, sure, there were other people that helped them and coordinated and set it up. But did the entire country of Afghanistan? Well, first of all, Osama bin Laden was from Saudi Arabia, right? Now, they did use Afghanistan for places to stage some of their training and all that stuff. But were all the people of Afghanistan responsible for what the terrorists did? No, of course not. I don't believe in collective punishment. I believe if you did it, you're the one who needs to be punished, not someone else. Same with Iraq. First of all, we know that the Iraq thing was a scam to start off with because there was no yellow cake, right? That was false information. That was fake news that got America. Now, thankfully, Chrétien said no for Canada, but got America into the conflict with Iraq. And what was it? Over 1 million people that died. I mean, hundreds of thousands, or 500,000, I think it was, that died just from the conflict, and then millions that died as the rest of the consequence of having that kind of a conflict in your country, right? I mean, look at Yemen and Libya. Those countries are still a lot of lawlessness, a lot of people still being killed and harmed every day. But once again, if you take a principled stance, then no matter what, you can go back through my videos and you'll see it's the same thing. Syria, right? Syria, same thing. And once again, not picking Russia's side, not picking Syria's side. I was accused back then. Oh, what do you support? Bashir al-Assad, right? Because I was like saying no war with Syria. It's like, no, I don't know this guy. I don't fucking know. First of all, I'm not a statist. I am no way a statist. So that's a misnomer. That's bullshit already. But no, I don't pick sides. Just like with the Russia, the Ukraine conflict. But I will point out the realities. There's a lot of history there. And I will point out, same with Syria. There was some geopolitics at play there. And to me, the most important thing is, what about the innocent victims in all these countries? Why the fuck do they have to suffer or be punished or penalized or lose their lives, livelihoods, or who knows what else you can? I mean, a lot of things you can lose in war, right? But for what? For just literally being in a place, just being born in a specific part of the world. I don't believe in collective guilt or collective punishment. Anyways, let me get moving on here, folks. It's some not from spell check. It's some not from spell check. It's all good. Oh, sorry. It's all good. Bouncy Castles. Scary bouncy castles. Tommy again. Okay, there we go. Being banned for a set of time by Facebook, YouTube, or any other MSM is considered by us truthers as a badge of honor. Yeah. Because we know we are sending the hurt feeling crybabies to their safe spaces. Yeah, I get it. But I'm also like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm also on the other side of that. It's like, but it's really important that people start to hear what we have to say, though, right? Because as we see, people are making really irrational and bad decisions and forming opinions based on a bunch of actual genuine bullshit. To me, all I want is like, you go ahead. To me, it's like, I wouldn't even say suppress the CBC or CTV. Go ahead, spew your bullshit and your propaganda as much as you want. All I ask is that I'm allowed or afforded the opportunity to present my stance, my opinion, my perspective, right? So that people can, just like adults, use the information that you've gathered from multiple sources and determine, for your own self, using your own brain, your own mind to figure out who's right, who's wrong, who's telling the truth, who's lying, right? That's all we ask, right? That's all we're really asking at the end of the day, is just be included. I mean, we live in this country. That's the thing. They're trying to, this cancel culture, it's not like fucking social media, right? Even this Ukraine cancel culture, social media. I mean, sure, yeah, you might be able to cancel me from Twitter, but you can't cancel me in real life. Well, I mean, the only way you genuinely can cancel me in real life is to put a bullet through my fucking head. Because short of that, I'm still going to be here, right? These hacks in the media, these journalists, yeah. Bennett Hunter, Canadian Libertarian, I'm going to be here, motherfuckers, for a long time, for many more years to come. God willing, right? But yeah, and as long as I'm here, this constant pretending that I don't exist and not allowing me to even be able to represent a voice in my own fucking country. Like, I don't know, this is what I mean, but that's why I kind of was thinking about, should we cover that? Because it's really draws my passions out when you're talking about this constant silence and suppressing our voices. Because, like I say, think about how much better off, not just us, but our countries would be. Might be in a much, much better place. We might have genuine unity. We might have genuine peace, right? We might have genuine prosperity if we were allowed to actually express ourselves. And the people, like I say, the Canadian people, the ones who don't pay real close attention and are only getting their information from the established media sources, if they could just be privy to voices like mine or voices like yours, it might give them time or a moment for pause to think more clearly about these very important social and economic issues that are confronting us. But once again, we're basically silenced, suppressed, shoveled in a corner somewhere, and basically told you just sit down, shut up, and like what? And what? How fucking long do you? And once again, if you think about the kind of people like myself and many other folks, I'm sure within the chat here, right? With very minimal resources, I set up my own, not just Facebook, YouTube. I've done a lot of, now they're online businesses kind of thing, but I've showed, and my history, and with the massive growth that I had, until they started suppressing me, I showed that I had the ability to grow my channels and my pages substantially with no money, very little money. But I put in the effort, and I invested, thanks to people who helped support me and donated to me. I invested in a nice little setup. I got all proper lighting. I got a nice mic. I got like I said, I did everything to do to make sure I could offer people professional quality content. And that's the thing. Why is it? And I recognize I was actually listening to a CBC radio program called Ideas, and this guy was even pointing out, it's like Canada, we're so lacking. Nobody supports innovators, right? Or people who are willing to be entrepreneurial. I am one of those people. And yeah, I mean, other than fine folks like yourself, like the bankers, the media, politicians, these institutions, who's out there, supporting us? I'm not asking for anyone to hand me money. I'm just saying, stop fucking creating barriers and obstacles to me trying to achieve any amount of success, right? Because you're stagnating Canada. Right? That's the other thing. Why don't you want to have alternative voices? That's the thing they talk about in political circles or in the established media. Diversity is so important, but yet darn well, if you sit there and watch CBC or CTV or any panelist on any of these established media organizations or platforms, they're all sitting there basically, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. How about you fucking bring someone on there, like, to give people at least something like that don't agree with each other? Because that's not debate. That's not discourse. That's not informing people. That's propaganda. If you want a well-adjusted population, if you care about freedom at all, that's the thing, for you lefties, if you care about the freedom for your lefty kids that are going to be living and growing up in this country, really fucking important that you don't keep fucking with the people who are helping. We're living on the remnants of some very productive and pioneering and entrepreneurial people from a long time ago. But those numbers have been dwindling. And this guy, like I say, in this program, he admitted on it. And maybe I'll share that in the link of this one. I was thinking I actually might want to cover that for a video too. But yeah, adjusted for inflation, Canadians have not had a wage increase in 46 years. 46 years, people. I'm 51 years old. I wasn't working when I was 5. So during the entire course of my life, and my grandparents know this. My grandparents have passed since then. My parents are still alive. Well, one of them, a stepfather, my real dad, he passed away many years ago. But they see it's an easy thing. And it's not just me as a single one-off example, but I've worked harder. I've worked longer fucking hours and at times and stuff. And I've put in the grind, but yet I still can't be as prosperous as they were. Right. And the reason why that is because of central planning, central banking, monetary policy, big government initiatives and policy that constantly punish and penalize people like me for even daring to try to challenge the status quo or to try to, shake things up a little bit. Well, that's the thing. If you're living in a country where the people who not only want to maintain the status quo so desperately that they're willing to destroy any potential for innovation, it goes to a bad place. And when you take a country down that long, dark road, like I say, even if you're on the left, your fucking kids, your grandkids are going to suffer tremendously. Not just me and my kids, yours as well. Maybe some elitist rich motherfuckers might be there might be a very tiny segment of our society who might be okay. But the overwhelming majority of people that support these leftists, these progressive, right, initiatives, it's actually going to be detrimental and harmful for you and your offspring, or for multiple successive generations. Anyways, I see I got myself a donation, so let me just scroll down here, there, folks. Give me a sec here. Hey, Fraser, good old Fraser. Well, sorry about that, folks. And I'll tell you the truth. Like, I don't even know. I don't know how you can. I can't even say I can blame it on my internet connection anymore because I have Starlink. When I do speed tests and I have tons of broadband. So why this stuff happens, it's mind-boggling and baffling. Sorry about that, Fraser McBurney. Hopefully you folks are back to seeing the stream now. Very frustrating, but we will persist. Like I say, I am live streaming over on Rumble too. Actually, let me just go over there and check and make sure that live stream is on. Just one sec here, folks. I'm just like I say, because yeah, it's working over there. I don't know, but I think when that happens, I think it affects both of the places that I'm streaming to. Yeah. Anyway, so let me close that back up and get back over here. All right, so like the Canadian Freedom Trucks, the American Freedom Rally will not be successful in their quest to end the emergency laws. The next thing the truckers should do is a national strike of all truckers. Holy jumping, do I ever agree? And actually, that's the thing. They can't charge you for anything if you just park your truck in your driveway and just don't go to work for a few weeks, right? And I know people say, yeah, but that will cause us all to starve or whatever. And listen, I mean, I'm not happy, but listen, no matter what we do, here's the thing. No matter what, and I'll take this off, but thanks for bringing that up there, Fraser. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks for the donation. But think about it. How the hell do you disrupt the status quo or try to do anything? We're going to be affected negatively one way or the other, right? It's just like after your wound's healed and you got to take that Band-Aid off. Well, you got to take it off at some point in time. And sure, ripping it off, you're going to rip a couple hairs out. But you know what? Just rip it off, put up with the short-term pain for the fact that in the long term, you'll be much better off as a result, right? You wouldn't want to walk around the rest of your life with a Band-Aid. But anyways, I mean, think about it. So there's no way to, like, I would like for us to be able to, now, if we had the minds of the masses working properly, thinking critically, then actually you could just pivot away from authoritarianism. And like I say, a few hundred idiots sitting there, rah, 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 or a Trudeau or a Ford, like you could just laugh at them. But since the majority of our population, or at least the plurality or enough of them who keep voting these people in, right? You're not going to change things through the political process. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. If you can get your freedom through politics, well, give me an example of that. Because all I've ever seen in my life in Canada, now I can only speak for my own country, but is laws have continued to get more and more strict and numerous, right? And it just, things continue to degenerate downward. I don't see how you just vote to make freedom a thing. It's like as if you just check a box, right? There has to be, put it this way, anytime you ever made a major shift in your life for the better, I can pretty much say with almost 100% certainty, although I don't like saying that unless I know 100%, but when did you not have to go through some rough times during that transitional time, right? There's always, that's literally the point pretty much, right? I've had the most valuable lessons I've learned was because I had to learn them the hard way, and it sucks. There's many times I've said, why do we as humans, why do we always have to learn the hard way? Why, right? Unfortunately, though, that's still where we're at, right? So yes, there might have to be some difficult times, as if we're not already going through them anyways. I mean, we're already going through some pretty difficulties. But anyways, that's just me thinking out loud. Now, let me get back down into the chat here. And once again, I was kind of asking you folks, do you want me to cover, I mean, already I haven't really covered anything other than just kind of going on here on my own little tangent, but would you like me to cover that, the journalism thing, or just kind of stick with just kind of all over the place in terms of like the COVID, talking about some COVID stuff, conflict, and the corporate cancel culture? Because, that's what's ridiculous. Cancel culture went mainstream, not just online anymore. They're canceling like everything in Russia. Like Russian orchestras are no longer allowed to be heard or played. It's like, what did these people in the orchestra do something wrong? I mean, vodka. Did vodka do something wrong? Like, vodka is not even a human being. It's just a substance, right? But I don't, like I say, this cancel culture, and it's come through the education system, right? Because that's where it started. That's where it started. Jordan Peterson himself, they tried to cancel him. Now, fortunately, Jordan Peterson, because he had the YouTube channel, was quite popular, and people were chomping on the bit to hear someone like him. So he's basically uncancelable at this point in time, but it's not for lack of trying. They tried desperately to cancel him. And they've canceled a tremendous amount of other people. I mean, there are a lot less voices. And let's face it, in the liberty movement, or even people who are starting the new adopters of learning about liberty, I mean, we're already pretty small in number in comparison to the authoritarian collectivists among us. But yet, our numbers are constantly dwindling on a daily basis because people are being canceled constantly, to the point where what voices are going to be left? I mean, I'm one of the few, but it's like nobody seems to even wants to. I don't know. Assure that my voice remains out there, right? Because to me, that would be more important. Is to at least, like I say, or other ones. Now, like I say, I'm a fan of True North. I'm a fan of Post Millennial. Fan of Spencer Fernando, but I listen to them. These are people that are still, they're not going to be, they'll be honest, much better and superior to the established media, but they won't give you the kind of unbridled 100%, the necessary truth, so that you're thinking the most critically about the issues, right? They're going to play politics with it. And I see it's basically that left, right. So conservative, liberal. But I was even watching Andrew Lawton. He interviewed Pierre Poilievre, and out of all the politicians in all the establishment parties in this country, he's the only one that Pierre Poilievre is like, yeah, I kind of like this guy. But then I keep getting these things that happen where he started early on, kind of lightly at least beating on the drums of war, although he has since tempered that. So that's a good thing. But at the same time, is he just playing politics here? Because Andrew Lawton literally asked him. So he said, so you're talking about this big blue tent that you want to create, right, Pierre? Well, so you got the fiscal conservatives, you got the social conservatives, and the third one that Andrew Lawton even brought up, and I was very appreciative to see that he did that, because he's used this word quite a few times. I can't help but think maybe Andrew or someone that he knows or someone in True North might watch my content once in a while, but talking about, well, the libertarian views, because the libertarians are supposed to be part of that big blue tent, right, is from what they're suggesting, right? And then then there's a few other groups within the conservatives, like the progressive conservatives stuff. And I heard Pierre Poilievre in his response, his reply to Andrew was, he referenced the social conservatives, he referenced the economic conservatives, he referenced all the other subgroups of the big blue tent. The one that was completely overlooked, and he never even uttered the word, was libertarian. And I'm very, very curious as to why that is. Now, I don't like to attribute just malice. What I think, here's what I'm thinking off the top of my head. Pierre Poilievre recognized that he's like at the top of the heap in Canada in terms of being what he considers a real conservative. And I would agree with him there. But if libertarians, right, if he's talking about the conservatives, like the small limited government conservatives, I think what he's fearful of is if he makes that tent, expands that tent to include people like myself, like libertarians, well, I don't know. The minute, like, if I get any chance, right, to have any limelight, or let's say he interviewed me, could you imagine? Let's paint this scenario. Pierre Poilievre introduced me so that he can, put out the political messaging that, yeah, I like libertarians. Well, could you imagine if he was to have a conversation with me about even just some of the social or economic issues in this country? What would happen in that case? What would really genuinely happen? You'd hear like someone that's really good, fiscal and social conservative, but kind of weak kneed, kind of milk toast, or what's that word? Pretty mellow in terms of his advocacy for freedom and liberty, if he was interviewing someone like me. Because where he'd be saying, you should have this much freedom, I'd be saying, well, no, this here, you're promoting this much freedom, Pierre. I want this much. So I think what he would expect, or what's thinking in his mind, is, oh, these libertarians might either grandstand or the public spectacle of seeing them being vastly superior in terms of their knowledge or their grasp in terms of freedom and liberty, right? And economics. Because yeah, he's smart in terms of economics, but once again, if we were having the conversation, the parts where he would be going along the middle line, still kind of status, I'd be pushing full on into the full on truth. And that wouldn't be conducive for the kind of political messaging that he would want to send, which is he's the leader. He's the one with the superior intellect, knowledge, and morality or understanding in terms of ethics. Whereas, yeah, if you bring the libertarians to the table, not just me, Tim Mullen and others, like I say, would make him look, like an amateur. Genuinely, we would make him look like an amateur. So is that the reason? I mean, if that's the reason, maybe we still got something to work with there. Maybe we just got to get someone to work on his ego a little bit. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, Pierre Poilievre is literally the only one in the established party that I would even contemplate or consider support. So let me go down here and see what's going on. Hey, Daily Rasp. Oh, I see. Nice to see you in the chat there. I was communicating with the Daily Rasp on Minds. By the way, if you folks haven't followed me yet over on Minds, because yeah, you get now and on my Facebook page, a lot of people are saying, yeah, now if they go to share stuff from my Facebook page, it comes up with that little disclaimer that says this page shares false information, which bullshit, but whatever, that's the game they're playing these days. But yeah, over on Minds, don't have to worry about that stuff. So Daily Ras says cancel culture is a flood the zone strategy designed with success to preempt low info public from receiving even a crumb of information, which does not carry water for the globalist agenda. So true. You spoke a mouthful there, Daily Rasp, and you're so right about that. And that's the part that's most disturbing is like the amount of success that we could achieve or attain in terms of bringing about genuine freedom and liberty for not just us, but for the rest of the people in not just in our countries, but the West in general. All that's really required is just to have our voices out there. And that's why, like I say, our opponents, the authoritarian collectivists, the ones that want to dominate or maintain the status quo or hand it off to the new status quo, that's why to them, their most important objective is to constantly keep our voices silenced and suppressed. And I agree with you 100% there because they realize that the truth is very dangerous and very powerful. I don't trust any of them. Here's the thing. They steal our votes. 2020 was stolen from the Patriots. You fixed the first before anything else does. And yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hoping down there in the midterms, really, really goes heavy on the Republican side of things to the point. And not just Republican. Like, I hope that there's the people who are running for those seats. I hope you got some either fresh blood or the real ones, the real patriots, the ones that really care about what the inherent freedoms and things that America stands for. I hope that that's what the Republicans are going to bring in 2022 is not just a shift in the balance of power down there in the Congress and the Senate. Well, I mean, the Senate's kind of already Republican by a small margin, but to greatly a shift, like I say, so that it's genuine people who care about freedom. We need more Ron DeSantis's, right? And Greg Abbott, the Texas governor, right? Now, I'm not saying these guys are all perfect. I'm sure there's areas in their policies that I would disagree with, but I'm saying, pragmatically speaking, to get us even remotely close to somewhere where we're heading in that general vicinity or direction, we have to turn this big giant boat around that's heading towards, a fucking wall of water. Like it's unreal where we're headed. So we got to turn this. And yeah, libertarians, we're not going to get what we want anytime soon, but at the very least, like I say, I don't know if it's going to come from the conservatives, the Republicans. I don't know where it's going to come from. I was hoping that these media hacks would realize that, what? Maybe we should let these libertarians say what they got to say and just let the cards fall where they may and let people make their own opinion. But I don't know where we're going to get it. I don't know where we're going to get the space unless we created our own. Now, we are creating our own space. That is one thing that's so amazing about the liberty-oriented community here is look at the amazing spaces that some of us have created. Now, not me. I'm not going to take any credit for it, but look at the folks like Gab. Look at the folks like on Minds, like Bill Ottman, Andrew Torba for Gab. No need to name drop the stuff, but like some of these, an Odyssey. Wow, they're coming out with great new features on their platform. I mean, they're locals, lots of alternative platforms out there now, right? Rumble, of course, amazing amount of platforms out there now. So the spaces are being created, but like I say, the problem is we're still basically functioning in an echo chamber. We're still not finding our place where we can get our voices out there to the masses, right? That's our issue. That's a major issue confronting us. And how do we overcome that? I don't know. To me, what I've been thinking is, I know in my community, you can rent the rec center for a relatively cheap price. Maybe just start in your local community. Maybe just start holding little meetings. Maybe it's at a little pub. Maybe it's at, like I say, community rec center. Maybe it's at an arena somewhere. Maybe someone's house, someone's basement, someone's cottage. I don't know. Their camp. But somewhere we have to start and getting people interested in learning these things and see where that takes you. Because that will, one thing it'll do, it'll tell you what kind of people you actually genuinely are living in your community. It might tell you a whole lot. Maybe you don't necessarily want to live in that community. Maybe you might want to move to a different community where people are more conducive to supporting freedom. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have all the answers. I just know that something's got to have to take place for us to be able to get our voices out there. Because, like I say, if we're silenced with the duct tape over our mouth and the amount of suppression that's taking place, this cannot go on indefinitely. It can't go on indefinitely. Something bad is going to happen eventually. Anyways, Canadian Patriot, friend me on FB, brother. Will do. Is that your Facebook name? Because if it will, I will. Just not sure. Dave Delisle. I have a purple Canadian flag with right on. Peace, BBC. Right on. I will check that out there. Dave Delisle. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe I should do that now in case I forget. Let me see what I can do here. Yeah, sorry about, like I say, the internet connection. I don't know what's going on because I should have good internet. I have Starlink, much higher speeds than normal. So Dave Delisle. I believe was the name, right? Dave Delisle. Yeah, Dave Delisle. I believe that's how you spell it. French, no? Possibly. Sounds like a French name. Okay, search results. Aha, I see the purple flag. Good one. Gotcha. All right. Oh, you're friends with a couple other people that I'm friends with as well. All right. So that's a done deal there, Dave. That's a done deal, man. It's taking a little while. Come on, Facebook. What are you trying to do? Scan to see anything before you allow it or what? Anyways, let me scroll down here. MSM propaganda has helped destruction of the West. Truth, capitalism, freedom, and thought. Movement must be destroyed. That accomplished technocrats will be open about the global takeover, aka reset. Yep. Right on, bang on again. Daily Rasp, bang on again. Like I said, that's what I'm so appreciative of having folks like you in these chats. I know you're well informed and knowledgeable. I totally agree with your time to shut it down like they did in year 1970 for a week back then. Maybe they will listen. Yeah, 1970. That's the year I was born. Yeah. Well, our wages basically have been stagnant even before then. That's crazy. And our kids, under the current regime and the current system that we're living under, does it look like our kids are going to do any better? I mean, that was the thing. From the greatest and the silent generation and the boomers, the reason why they did so well is because their parents were like, yeah, we want not just what's best for our kids, but we're going to actually make that a reality. We're going to set up a society that's conducive to giving them the opportunity to benefit from their freedoms, both socially and economically. And the boomers did. They had a great run, and good for some of them. For the ones that did it through the political means by use of force, not happy with those people. And then sadly, seems like a substantial portion of them got too comfortable with using the state as their means to an end, right? But once again, Gen Xers, millennials, Gen Zers, Does it really look like we're going to be in the same position like the boomers were, where we're doing much better at the same time frame? Well, I can already say no. No, that's not the case. And like I say, it's not just me in my personal situation. It is basically just go out and talk to anybody. And now there are going to be exceptions and outliers, of course there are, right? As a general statement, it doesn't mean that it's universal. I don't say that as a universal statement. It's just a general statement, right? That yes, Gen X on down are not being rightly rewarded, even remotely close to, for what they produce or provide in society, or even given the opportunities, right? That's the other thing. It's not just what they're already doing, is what opportunities are even afforded to present them. No, what that's the thing is, for me, not only was I not offered like these opportunities or whatever. And once again, not asking anybody to hand me anything. I'm just saying, just get out of my fucking way. Get government out of my way. But no, it was constantly, I mean, to the point where I had a few beer on my four-wheeler and someone, like, not just a judge, cops, judge, the government, Service New Brunswick, all these bureaucrats decided it was a good idea to destroy my livelihood, my career, force me to leave my home, and all the negative consequences and ramifications and the fallout from that. For why? For me, just having a few beer on my four-wheeler. So, like I say, and like I say, the people that introduced these policies, right, to punish people so massively severely for no victim, like I say, it's not even a crime, because when I say victimless crimes, that's kind of an oxymoron, because what I did was not a crime. Although the government says it's a crime, but just having a few beer, going on my ATV and enjoying the trails out in the middle of the woods in rural New Brunswick, there's no crime there. But the boomer generation of people, right? Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they had some bad wrecks back in the day or whatever, right? Some bad things happened. They used politics, propaganda, and the power and the full force and might of the state to, well, that's never going to happen again, right? Just it's same kind of line of thinking as with COVID. Like, we can't allow this COVID to spread. It's like, it's the thing with people with just, they have so much, they just want so much control. They just yearn for that power, and they won't let go of it. They won't release it. They won't relent in even the slightest. And like I say, there's a lot of people that have put themselves in that position today. And we're the ones that are suffering the consequences. They're the ones that are going to be long gone before we do. That's the one thing that we do have as the advantage to, like I say, a lot of the boomers who have created the world that we live in today, because they look at us as competition rather than their offspring. That's the crazy part. And I've seen that, like I say, not just in my own personal situation or setting, a lot of people, especially if you're a Gen Xer. Now, I'm not so 100% sure on the millennial, not sure on the boomers who have the millennial kids. I know a few of them, but I know for people like myself in my age category, where our boomer parents, like we were head when our parents were quite young, in their early teen or younger teen years. Our parents, the boomer generation, because we weren't that far apart in terms of the age as some of the other are, right? I mean, is they looked at us as competition in the marketplace rather than, um, fellow travelers. Or see, that's the thing. I don't look at my kids now. My kids, in some areas, I suppose we can be competitive in a way, but I'm not going to get, and I would never want to get to the point where I'm going to suppress my kids' ability to strive for success, like I say, socially or economically, in order to prop myself up. If they can prove to be, superior in any way, I'll support them, and I'll give them, like I say, the opportunity to strive as best as they may, as best as they might, to achieve or attain some amount of success. Where, like I say, a lot of the boomers, and once again, if you're a boomer, I am not saying this is applicable to all boomers, but I'm saying there's a substantial portion of them who just seemingly want to keep their boots on the heads of their kids or grandkids, and the hope of, like I say, because they're like, I got all mine, and they're scared to death that, because maybe they're the ones, that's the thing, right? Think about it. Maybe they're the boomers. Maybe that mentality of that typical boomer is the one that thinks that there's a finite pie. And we know those people exist, right? Whereas, proper economics, you understand, is not just one finite pie and we're only allowed a little piece of it. No, like you can create more pies. Here's another pie over here. You can make a new pie, whole new pies. Matter of fact, they don't even have to be just apple. You can have lemon meringue, you can have blueberry, right? Cheesecake. Or no, that's cake. But you can all kinds of different pies, right? But I suppose if you're in the mindset or think along the lines of like there's a finite size of that pie, and you got your chunk, right? And even some of them, let's say they even worked hard for that chunk. They're like, oh, I don't want to give it up. I want the government to constantly make sure that I'm getting the bigger chunk of the pie or maintain my chunk of the pie. But once again, you got to get away from the mentality of government and start thinking about market, right? And the market says, here, create more pies. But once again, maybe some of them are scared. That's that tall poppy syndrome. Is if someone else makes a pie, they might make a much, much better pie, and no one will ever want to see or eat my pie ever again. Or maybe my pie will be so stagnant and it'll just rot and it'll be no good to me at all. Right? Who's to know? But I tell you, there's definitely some things that are affecting the mindset of a substantial portion of that boomer cohort. And they need to get out of this stuff. They need to get out of that funk. And like I say, if some of these people are your parents or aunts or uncles and you have a good relationship with them, although that would be hard to figure out if you have a kid. Maybe you do. Oh, maybe sit down and talk with them and maybe figure out, because really, if you talk about societal issues, figure them out on the small scale, and they might be conducive to be expandable to society level, right? So that's the thing. Each of us as individuals got to figure out what's the best practice or what's multiple areas of best practices to get those people in the mindset of stop thinking along that way, right? Matter of fact, as you get older and go on to those retirement years, especially if you're a boomer, you don't want to be just reliant on this current healthcare system when you get to the years that some of the people have passed already, right? You wouldn't want to be a boomer in your 70s, 80s, or 90s now, knowing the lackluster performance of the healthcare system in this country, would you? Wouldn't you want it to be better? And like I say, if you allow the market, if you allow innovation, if you allow creativity, if you allow, like I say, for the private sector to do what it does best, it may very well prove beneficial to, like I say, the boomers themselves. But they're so many of them seem to be so unwilling to let go of their firm grasp of control and they're scared of change. That's the other thing. They're so scared of change, and they're not just harming successive generations, but they're ultimately going to harm themselves as well. Anyways, I know I've been kind of going on a bit of a tangent. I've been known to do that. But let me scroll up here. I know there was lots of people in the chat. I just want to see some people that I haven't said hi to. Love that you're back. Well, thank you, Rick Cam. I really appreciate it, and thank you for joining the stream. It was a great roundtable. Roundtable. Hey, Rage in the Cage. Hey, Terry, thank you. It was a great. Oh, so somebody had a roundtable. All right, maybe I should get involved in a roundtable someday. Hey, Anarcha Rika, what's going on? Hey, Bennett, have a good stream. Oh, I've got to go shovel my. Oh, you do? That's a bit of a bummer, isn't it? Oh well, it's all good as long as it's not too much of a driveway there, Rika. I understand. Do your thing, girl. Hello, Rage. Okay, who we got? Skank. I love it. Skank Hunt 42. You want to see? That's the best. Yeah, I love me some South Park. South Park is awesome. Skank 42. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. F the CBC. I hear you. That was good. Okay, Rage in the Cage game. Hello, glad I got the reminder. YouTube isn't showing all the. Yeah, I know. It's a crappy thing, right? Oh, Steelers. Yeah, I mentioned the Steelers there earlier. I don't like the Sailors. Now the Pittsburgh Penguins, the great and Sidney Crosby. Yes, Sidney was great. Yeah. Anyway, so like I say, I haven't really heard any replies as of yet. Of course, I've been kind of rambling on a lot myself, but just switched over to Rumble, a free speech platform. Awesome. Are you checking out the stream from over there? Hopefully it's actually doing okay over there. Actually, if you are over there checking that out there, Fraser, because yeah, it's supposed to be streaming over there as well. Jack the Giant Slayer. Hey, how you doing, Jack? Purple and red. Nice. So anyways, like I say, I was just wondering, do you folks want me to cover this? Now, how far are we into the stream now? Oh shit, I'm already an hour and 5 minutes into it. Oh wow. Yeah, it'd probably be a little too late to start that now, wouldn't it? So then let's just get into some of the stuff that I was going to cover then. Might as well. All right. So this was the first one that I wanted to bring up. Once again, just to show the double standard. And they don't even try to hide it anymore. Early on, they at least try to pretend, right? Diversity is so important to them and giving people voices. Blah, 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 blah. But as we're seeing here, I think, yep, there it is. There she be. So this is a National Post article, as you can see. And the headline, it's a repost from Reuters. Facebook will temporarily allow posts calling for Putin's death. Internal emails showed the social media company is changing its hate speech policy and allowing posts calling for violence in certain countries. So this was reported March 10th, 2022 by Munsif Vengatil and Elizabeth Culliford. Anyway, so Meta platforms will allow Facebook and Instagram users in some countries to call for violence against Russians and Russian soldiers. Violence against this is the thing. This is really, really important here, right? Even Russian soldiers, I wouldn't say is necessarily a good thing to be advocating for violence, but these are people who are doing violence themselves, so tit for tat kind of thing. But Meta platform will allow Facebook and Instagram users in some countries to call for violence against Russians, just Russian people that haven't done a goddamn thing, right? Innocent people. Well, isn't the point of Facebook's hate speech and policy against promoting violence to protect the vulnerable, the innocent, right? From these things? Well, apparently not. Not if it's something they support. See, this is what I mean, the double standard and the hypocrisy is they suggest that silencing or suppressing my voice or putting all these labels or disclaimers on my posts when people share them, basically alluding or suggesting that I'm a liar and I share fake information, which is absolute bullshit. But the whole point of that is supposedly was of doing that was because they're 100% against their policy is no hate speech. And we've seen like people that dispose of some of the things that people said that were labeled hate speech or advocating for violence were not even remotely close to that, but yet they were canceled or had their pages suppressed or silenced. I mean, myself, I've never, right? I don't advocate for going out and using violence against people or hating groups. Never advocated for that before. But yeah, my Facebook page is constantly being punished and penalized. But like I say, if I supported the cause, that's the crazy part. If I was here right now saying, oh yeah, go, I won't even say it, but do terrible things to these people, right? It would be okay, perfectly acceptable. So it's a complete double standard. Now, just like a parent raising a couple kids or parents raising kids or a society with their citizens, what kind of message are you trying to send? Right? What kind of a country do you think you're going to fucking live in? Right? Or what kind of platform do you think you're going to end up with where, if you agree with my ideas or my opinions or my ideology or my stance on particular issues, you can spew as much hate speech as you want and advocate for as much violence as you want. As long as it's directed towards specific people that I say it's okay. Like I say, what kind of once again, I can't help but point out, do as I say, not as I do, very, very much. I mean, just in my own life and in the life of actually a lot of my friends that I grew up with. Because yeah, it's not like we never talked about this stuff before, but it's like, yeah, the boomers, do as I say, not as I do, right? Don't hit people while they're fucking beating the living shit out of you as a kid, not even as an adult, but like a full-grown adult beating the shit out of their kids or teachers or principals or preachers. Because yeah, they used to do it. When I was growing up, being beaten as a kid, whether it's with a stick or a broom or a strap or their hand or anything they could get their base, whatever they get their hands on, right? Or foot on. Foot in your ass was always quite the thing. But like I say, they will do that. Like, I don't want you, like, or you do something wrong. Let's say, oh yeah, I don't know, I'll knock the pot off the stove and I don't know, burnt something or whatever. you get a beating for it. Well, what you did was not violent in any way. It was actually probably a mistake, something you did that was wrong. But it's like, what was the punishment? To use violence against you. But then once again, if you did anything yourself as a kid, maybe got into a fight in the school playground or something, and it was like used violence yourselves, like you would be once again be met with more violence, probably from the principal or your teacher, and then your principal, and then when you get home by your parents. So you get multiple beatings for doing something violent yourself, while violence was the means to supposedly stop. Like I say, that logic just doesn't work. And you can't raise kids on that without having them massively, fucked up in the head, which once again, look at the world we live in. Just like with a society, you can't have a society of people like that without having a really fucked up society. And this is the society that we live in today. That is a reality. You know it. I know it. There's a lot of people that know it. They just refuse to accept it. And like I say, pull their blinders off. The social media company is also temporarily allowing some posts that call for death to Russian President Vladimir Putin or Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko in countries including Russia, Ukraine, and Poland, according to a series of internal emails to its content moderators. These calls for the leaders' deaths will be allowed unless they contain other targets or have two indicators of credibility, such as the location or method, one email said. In a recent change to the company's rules on violence and incitement, the emails said calls for violence against Russians are allowed when the post is clearly talking about the invasion of Ukraine. They said the calls for violence against Russian soldiers were allowed because this was being used as a proxy for the Russian military, and said it would not apply to prisoners of war. Okay, so you're not going to call for violence against prisoners of war. Aren't prisoners of war violent? How do they work with that kind of mentality? Meta did not immediately respond to requests. The temporary policy changes apply to Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Russia, and Ukraine. Last week, Russia said it was, but that's the thing. Once again, were you allowed to do all that stuff to any other government? Right? I mean, were you allowed? Think about it. Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act, seized the bank accounts, sent his henchmen in, right? Not in the military, but a substantial force of people dressed almost like military men. You seeing them, the pictures, the videos out there of those fucking, the enforcers of the state that were beating down, spraying. They had the horses trampling on fucking people. One woman was in a motorized scooter, right? And we seen like the violence that took place, the destruction of property, the hatred espoused and spewed towards anyone who was part of the convoy, right? It was okay once again, that was a one-sided thing. It was okay to hate on those who were part of the convoy. You could advocate for violence against them. You could advocate for hatred towards them. But if anyone within those organizations, like if you were a trucker and you advocate, or you were saying Trudeau should be killed, he should be hung, right? For causing so much violence, or arbitrarily freezing people's bank accounts and trying to starve them out of existence, right? That would be a defensive position to take, but would you be allowed to do that? I don't see Facebook saying, okay, it's okay for the trucker convoys or the supporters of the trucker convoys, or like I say, the GoFundMe. Look at how that shifted, right? No, they were targeting the protesters, that small fringe minority of people in Canada with unacceptable views. They were targeted, lambasted, tarred and feathered, and like I say, raked across the coals and severely punished and penalized, and some of them still are being so, for doing nothing more than peacefully protesting, not even advocating for hatred or violence. But they were treated, like I say, in the kind of manner, because once again, whether you're talking about Facebook or those in the established media or these established politicians, they're not against violence, especially when you're talking about politicians. Their job requires the pretense that they're part of the monopoly, that state, which is the monopoly on violence and force in any country, right? So they are all about violence. But what it is they want to use violence against people they don't like. But how dare the people who challenge them even remotely suggest or hint at using violence or hate speech directed at them. So once again, it's all about where you stand or where you're perched. No universally consistent principles or morals or ethics involved. None whatsoever. I mean, to me, that, and like I say, that just that bit of information alone is so, it should be so profound that even people who are, like I say, fence sitters today, I mean, surely, and maybe they are, maybe the silent majority of the fence sitters are sitting over there looking, scratching their head like, okay, now maybe they are finally starting to see the real world for what it is rather than this vacuous, fake, false pretense of, oh, we're all harmless. Like even Trudeau, after he did all that stuff, right? Right? Invoked and never before used Emergency Act against peaceful protesters. Then he goes all around the world and says, we need to come together with you. It's like, really? Like, that's fucking weird, man. That is some weird, that's some next level weird shit. I don't know how that guy fucking goes through a day without, I mean, he's got to be on prescription pills or a fucking alcoholic at this point. Otherwise, I don't know how he could live in his own head. I don't know how the fucking man could live. Because I know when I've been, and I've been that place before in my life where I'm like confused, wrong things going on in my head, didn't have proper clarity about stuff, maybe in a bad spot in my mind. And you know that, right? It's omnipresent in your mind. You can't help but feel and experience that. But I guess people like Trudeau just, I don't know, just pretends, acts. Well, he does like to play that acting role. Just sent a Rumble rant on Rumble. Nice, nice. Oh yeah, yeah, that's right too. Truth Social is online now. It's Trump's come. Yeah, I haven't gone on that one yet. I probably will. Rumbler here, right on, Steven. Nice to see you in the chat. Or Stuart, sorry, Stuart. Nice to see you in the chat, my friend. But yeah, Truth Social. You know, I haven't joined that one as of yet. I might still give it a chance. The problem is, like, I've got so many platforms that I'm on now. Like, I'm not on Telegram. I know there are lots of people over there, but that's the thing. We're all spread all over the place. The dominant places I've been supporting because they've been around the longest, and like I say, some of the earliest ones. Mine's the alternative platform for me. My favorite alternative social media platform right now, and has been for a long time, is Minds. Minds, I like it. It's easy to use and navigate, and like I say, they've been around, and Bill Ottman and the other folks there that helped contribute to bringing Minds to fruition. Like I say, they've been around a long time, and like I say, they were early on to give people like myself a platform where you didn't have to worry about your content being, suppressed. So I really like it, but there's lots of great ones out there. Of course, Andrew Torba from Gab, another guy that's, and I mean, that guy did a lot. Andrew, holy crap. Like he did not just build the platform, but his own, he's got his own servers. He's got his own, there was even a browser, right? Just tremendous amount of stuff that he's done so that he's uncancelable. His platform is uncancelable, right? And good for him and whoever has helped and all the people who voluntarily contributed to making that possible. Because like I say, these are the people that are going to help us advance freedom or liberty in the future. But once again, we need somewhere, some space, as much as we need these alternative platforms, and they may very well be the dominant ones going forward. I have no doubt about that. But in the interim, in this middle ground time, we still have to be able to. That's why I stay on some of these other dominant platforms like Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. Is I don't feel it's absolutely necessary to constantly always function in an echo chamber. I help it to regenerate myself, to fill up the old tank, right? But once again, then it's time I feel like I got to step out into the wild, out there into the where the average people are, because those are the people that really need to hear the information that you and I are privy to, right? So how do we get that point? How do we get that point? Well, like I say, the establishment media, they have the platforms, the ability to give people like us a voice. But currently, they're still unwilling to do so. And that maybe what I'll do is I'll set up a live stream tomorrow and cover that whole entire video about journalism under siege because I really do want to do it. I really want to cover it, but I want to know because and maybe you're curious as well. I want to know what's going on in the mind of these folks. Where are they thinking? Where are they at in their head? Are they still just going to like? Is it going to be just a 2 hour? What was it? 2 hour and 17 minute long video of them just blaming everybody else without no self reflection whatsoever or looking in the mirror? I don't know. Could be, or maybe there's an inkling because there are a few people on that platform. Let me go back to it again. So what was it again? Um, which one of them in there was? Because I believe I'm just looking there now because I believe one of them. Uh, maybe not. I was under the assumption that at least one of the folks, well, maybe though, like I say, I'll give it a chance. We're kind of are there any people from like Sun Media? Or that's the thing. I'm not seeing really anyone that would be considered on the right side of the political spectrum here. So once again, is it just going to be an echo chamber of a bunch of progressive leftists, authoritarian collectivists that are going to sit there and say, yeah, the Canadians are just, they're all too dumb to figure stuff out. They hate us because they're misinformed. They're a bunch of Trump supporters, right? Deplorables, the unacceptables, whatever. And then, like I say, no self-reflection or placing any blame on themselves. Who knows? It could be. That's why I wanted to check it out and kind of get to know what's going on in their head. Just going to scroll through a couple of my um, articles that I was going to cover for this particular stream. Um, oh, yeah. Actually, let me bring this up because this I found quite. Okay, share screen. Yeah, here we go. So let me just read this a little bit because there's a portion in it that I wanted to cover. So this is a headline from CBC. Federal Department gave money to magazine publishing pandemic misinformation. BC-based Common Ground received money from Heritage Canada, which is tasked with fighting misinformation. This reported by Catherine Tunney, March 11, 2022. As the federal government was promising to tackle harmful false claims about the pandemic spreading online, it was giving thousands of dollars to a magazine spreading vaccine misinformation, including understated claims that COVID-19 vaccines could cause cancer in children. The Department of Canadian Heritage, which helps to oversee the government's response to a rising tide of false information online, confirmed it provided more than $17,000 to Common Ground magazine through a special program, the Canadian Periodical Fund, intended to help publications weather the pandemic. BC Publication calls itself Western Canada's biggest and best loved monthly magazine dedicated to health, wellness, ecology, and personal growth. It has published multiple stories. Anyways, I wanted to get I think the reason should not receive this because all sorts of people fund all. That's the thing. Yeah. Like, what the hell? Even what it is, like, I don't want to support people who disagree with me. Well, that's the thing. If you're going to support journalism, first of all, that's the problem. Just journalists stop looking for government fucking money. I would never. I would feel dirty as hell to go looking for government. I'm sure, I could try, right? But no way would I be looking for government handouts. There's just too much of a conflict of interest there no matter what. So I don't know why these people get into this stuff anyways, but whatever. But there's one part in here I wanted to get to. There's no evidence code. Okay, so that was the cancer. Oh, here it is. Oh, I did have it. Good. Look at that. I had it highlighted already. So it's down here. So it says another Common Ground article entitled Say No to Medical Apartheid claims vermectin. Now check this out, folks. A drug used to rid livestock of parasites that is sometimes prescribed to humans can reduce COVID mortality. I mean, this is already, I mean, this is not fake news. And actually, remember the Joe Rogan episode where even Sanjay Gupta on there and Joe called him out because, yeah, CNN tried pulling this bullshit. And Joe called him the hell out when he had Sanjay Gupta on his podcast saying, why the hell were you guys at CNN saying that I was taking horse fucking or animal medicine when this ivermectin, it's fully approved, authorized, and it's a human medication, and it does actually help, and it's helped many people. And whether you want to say anecdotally or if there's conclusive studies in yet or no, I haven't got that privy to that knowledge to know how many conclusive studies are on the effectiveness of ivermectin, but we have seen real world examples where it does at least seem to have helped, and there is a scientific health basis for it. There are actual doctors in the healthcare field who will prescribe it. They've done so for not just people like Joe Rogan, but many others as well. And not just celebrities, but other people, right? So we know that it's a real thing. But here, once again, basically the fact that Common Ground, ran an article saying say no to claims was a drug used to can reduce COVID mortality. So all they did was suggest that it has the potential to reduce COVID mortality. And who's to say it doesn't, right? Who the fuck is to suggest that the science is settled to the point and nothing will ever change at any point in time in the future? They're so secure in their knowledge that ivermectin cannot do anything to help them that they're willing to basically say that anyone that even remotely suggests that is offering false information and are lying to you. This is how fucking desperate they are. Like I say, which is why they're, like I say, 0% chance. And let me just point this out too, and I'm sure some of you folks do. And maybe I'll tie this video up there for today. And like I say, I might do another stream tomorrow. We'll see. But let me just say this. I'm most definitely not an anti-vax or anti-science. What I am is anti-authoritarian, anti-mandates, and anti-anyone who has spent that much time as the people, like I say, who are pushing these things, right? These vaccines. When you watch the kind of people who are pushing them on you, the kind of vile, despicable things they do and say, the things they lie about, the kind of control mechanisms they're trying to use to dominate citizens in jurisdiction, countries all over the world. Yeah. Like I say, not going to plus, once again, it's not even just a matter of I'm just stubborn, although I can be that, but I'm also wise enough to know that I'm not the least bit worried about if I do get COVID, although I don't want it, but I'm not worried about I'm going to die from it or anything. But I tell you, what these people don't realize, especially, I'll just speak for myself. I won't speak for anyone else, but for myself, yeah, when they decide they want to raise the carbon tax and make my fucking life more expensive, basically everything I purchase, putting the gas in my car, buying the food or putting food in my belly, buying whatever you're purchasing, right? Yeah, I can't do nothing about that. I wish I could, like, avoid having to pay taxes. Like, well, I mean, there's times where you can work cash. There are times where sometimes you can, but it's really, really, really almost impossible, right? To avoid some of the massive encroachments on our liberties that big government does these days, right? Driver's license have to keep constantly renewing, right? Every few years. You got to do it. You got to keep paying up, whether you like it or not, right? I mean, I won't even go through the list of the amount of things that government does to dominate and control us socially and economically. I mean, that list goes on forever and ever. So, but think about it. There's so many areas of that where we have no control because, like I say, the courts, judges, cops, the political class, institutions, education center, right? I mean, they all have the ability to impose themselves on us by way of using government as a means to an end. And there's very little that we can do. Very little at all. Not much I can do to prevent my tax dollars from going to subsidize CBC and all these other media organizations that constantly misrepresent, lie to us, tearing at the very fabric of our society, calling people like myself liars and stuff while taking my money. Not much I can do about that. I've tried my best in my life to find ways to avoid and do that. It's really difficult. But the one thing that I do See, this is the thing that these people don't take into account. And I was listening to a little thing earlier where the guy was saying that he said 20%, but it doesn't even seem like it's even 20% in Canada. It seems like it's even less than that. He said that last 20%. Oh, I just want to get them to fucking get vaccinated. They just want us vaccinated. Like, here's the thing. If there's one thing that I genuinely do, the only place that I know with 100% certainty that I have full autonomy and control over right now in 2022 in fucking Canada is my body. That I have, it's the one thing that I have full control over right now. 100% full control over. Nobody. Government hasn't figured out a way, right, to remotely control my body from some other area, from some other jurisdiction. I am in still full atomic control of my body and my mind. And I got to tell you, I will never be forced to take one of these goddamn vaccines. And like I say, you have no idea these people that are pushing for this stuff. You might as well give it up now because, like I say, it's the one thing I do. You're never going to get that. You're never going to get that. You fuckers have, like I say, taken control over so many areas and have caused so much harm to people like myself for years and years, for decades, right? And as detrimental and terrible that is, like I say, you should just, if I have any advice for these control freaks, back the fuck up away from this bullshit, in particular with these vaccine mandates, because that's you've pushed us to the point, the brink, right? You've pushed us to the point where we're literally standing and our heels are on the fucking edge. And it's not even that we've drawn a line in the sand. There's nowhere left for us to go. This is our last stand. This is what we have left. And yeah, not giving it up for nothing. Not a damn thing in this world will ever force me to give up my autonomy. You would have to kill me. Like I say, I don't say this just as a joke. I know I take full consideration into what I'm saying here. But I am so vehemently against anyone trying to force or impose themselves or anything into my body that I will. My kids know this. My wife knows this. My extended family, my friend, everyone that knows me knows this. I will fucking die if need be, defending my bodily autonomy. So are you really, because that's the thing, the people are pushing this stuff, are you really willing to get or place someone in the position where they have to literally take my life? And by that point is, if it's to save one life, well, you're taking one fucking life to save, to pretend that you're going to save someone. But in reality, like I say, if I don't have COVID or anything and you take my life, or because you try to force, you're not doing anybody any good. And as a matter of fact, if you cause any harm to me, the people that care about me don't just care about me a little bit. They care about me a whole lot. And that'll play a profound effect on what they think about things going forward for a long time. Like I say, these people that are playing these stupid games don't realize just how much this could get to the point. And when you're looking over there, you're saying, oh, I would hate to be over in Russia, or I mean in Ukraine right now. Yeah. And that is a conflict. And it's not a pretty sight, no doubt. But for anyone that thinks that it can't come here, well, like I say, it wasn't happening in Ukraine either until people pushed the citizens in that country too far, right? As a matter of fact, it doesn't happen in any country until certain people in the certain jurisdictions have gotten pushed too far. The political class usually never know when that point is. The media class rarely class. The intelligentsia, those in academia, they don't know when that. The people who are being oppressed, they're the ones that know when their breaking point is. And that, like I say, it's going to happen, or it can happen, and it will happen anywhere if these people keep pushing on these authoritarian mandates. But anyways, folks, like I say, I'm just going to take the rest of the day off. Actually, my son, he got himself a new puppy today. Actually traveled quite a distance to get himself a new puppy. I can't wait to go see it. And I'm going to, like I say, spend a little time down there with my son and his lady and his new puppy and seeing everything. And you folks enjoy the rest of your day as well. And like I say, I might very well do another live stream tomorrow because I really, really do want to cover that journalism under siege event. That seems like something that would be a little bit entertaining and, like I say, informative as well to get to know, like, get deep enough into the minds of these people because it's not just what they say, it's what they don't say. It's their expression. It's the thing. We pick up on those cues, we as human beings, right? You can pick up on those cues. So it'd be quite an interesting thing to see. But anyways, thanks all you folks. Just to check a couple people that vote of no confidence for to fire tyrants. Petition for ballot initiative to fire and ban from government jobs all government members who want vax mandates. Right on. So what's this? Be vegan now. Be vegan now. Well, thanks for joining the stream. Really appreciate that. Be vegan. Okay, where are we at here? Yeah, okay. Actually, let me just see here, Gloria. The parents have a right to say that no teacher shall rob their children of faith in God and send them back to their home skeptical or infidels or agnostic or atheist. William Jenny Bryan. Well, thanks for pointing that out, Gloria Miller, as well. Yes, right. Nobody has the right. That's the thing. School, originally, education is only genuinely meant to teach people academics, right? Math, science. But what we're seeing today, that's not the only basis or what's being taught to students these days. And if you're one of those parents who are too busy and not being proactive to learning what is being taught to your kids in school these days, well, you should take a little bit of time out of your life to find out because, like I say, they are the future. Like I say, they go through the school, they go up into the universities, they go out into these institutions, become part of government, become part of the corporate class, and look at what's happening today, right? These ideologues are now filling up all these positions who are dominating our culture and destroying it at the same time. Anyways, like I say, thanks for all you folks that did join the stream. I'll tie it up. I see the quality's getting crappy now anyways. So everyone have a great day. Like I say, I might be doing another live stream tomorrow. I'll give you some heads up in the morning if I am. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.